I'm the president of BlankSafe. We developed a device that prevents you from shooting a live round when you're supposed to be shooting blanks. This is hugely important for force-on-force training. Our forces get the lion's share of their really solid training force-on-force with a really advanced laser tag type of system. You're going to shoot directly at a cohort of somebody you work with on a day-to-day basis, and the only thing preventing you from actually shooting them is proper segregation of the ammunition and conscientious operation, which falls down flat in high-stress situations that we put our warfighters under in training. My background is as a Navy SEAL, and I would argue that it's pretty difficult to imagine a more disciplined group of people when it comes to shooting and better practiced. I saw 3 incidents myself during that period of time where I was a SEAL. Everybody I know that served actively and did any type of force-on-force training has seen this type of an incident, arm's reach. They saw it happen in front of them, blank fire adapters being blown off, etc. The main point of this from an innovation corner perspective is that we developed this device based on the problem. We didn't have the device yet. We knew we had a challenge. And even worse, for our perspective in our business case, is that challenge wasn't even close to being a requirement because it wasn't being reported. Anybody who reported it could easily ruin a career. They could easily ruin everybody around them's career, the people who are supposed to inspect them's career. And it's as simple as a blank fire adapter being blown off, nobody's hurt, doesn't get reported. Fortunately, we were able to adopt quite a lot of mentorship within the Army. People recognized the problem immediately and they realized that we had a bit of a solution. As I mentioned, the weapon configured for blank fire shooting is still capable of shooting live ammunition. That's a fact. We do it for kill houses. We do it closer than any of us are right now in man-to-man force-on-force training. This does happen all the time. People get hurt and injured, killed all the time. It's just spread out, and the only things that really do get reported are casualties. And unfortunately, from an annotation perspective, they're often written down as an ammunition segregation issue. Somehow they picked up a live round. More accidents instead of lapses of judgment or leadership. So the goal, after seeing the incidences, and my business partners and I seeing the incidents over and over, and finding out that it was even worse in the Army than it was in the SEAL teams, and in response to an event where a very highly trained SEAL instructor shot a student, we felt that we could figure out a way to do it. So again, we started with a problem and started working on a resolution. And the opportunity for innovation from our perspective came with the reality that a blank round is shorter than a live round. There seems to be something there. There seems to be a way there that we can innovate. We can create something to fix the problem, necessity being the mother of invention. And so we developed what was called the magazine inspection device. It was a blank-only magazine insert. And this was technology that was built in a vacuum, in specific, the vacuum of naval special warfare. We do what we call lip gunning forever, and then we switch to blanks for another couple weeks, and then we switch to live, and we never go back and forth. The blank and live ranges never mix. And so that was the mindset that we grew up in. And so we invented this device that you switch at the beginning of the blank fire training. You've removed all the live rounds possible from the scenario, and then you use. We found out that that very much didn't work for the Army. It was a short-sighted design. It didn't stop the problem of grabbing a live mag and loading it, getting one out of your gear, the challenge of the time it takes to go over and over and do this. And so this was innovation, like I said, in a vacuum. And so what we invented pretty quickly after a couple pretty serious innovation challenges with a recognition that what the Army wanted was they wanted a blank-only magazine, and they weren't going to remove any of the live rounds from the battlefield. From an ethical perspective, we hit the microphone, and we decided that we didn't want anything to do with it. We weren't going to do the blank-only magazines for now. We were going to focus on a live round interrupter. We're going to have to extend something down the barrel of the gun and physically prevent a live round from chambering, but allowing a blank round to chamber. And so we developed it. Live round interrupter, we had some champions. We had some phenomenal counsel from the REF. We had phenomenal counsel within the Department of the Army Explosive Safety Council. who recognized the challenge and sponsored an Aberdeen test of our device, which we passed with flying colors. And so we're somewhat off to the races. From the innovation perspective, what we realized was that you needed to have that real-world experience in the field. This is where the Rapid Equipping Force, and this is where entities like it play such a valid role, because requirements are rarely illustrated for things that don't exist. They're not things that people think about. They haven't planned for something that doesn't exist yet. And as Steve Jobs famously misquoted Henry Ford, if we gave the people what they asked for, we'd have faster horses. We can't necessarily answer from an industry perspective challenges that are presented by requirement. You have to be a little bit further ahead of the challenge, and you have to know what the event is that's taking place that you're trying to fix. Aberdeen was amazing. We got to work with some real stellar engineers that have spent an entire lifetime in small arms. Biggest thing we took out of that was the realization there's no such thing as a small change in small arms. Things either work or they don't. And if you've ever seen a super slow motion video of an M4 firing in full auto, you'll be surprised it works at all. And we started into tip development. We're on tip number 28. And the last 4 have worked perfectly. Tip number 24 didn't work at all. We literally thought we had another 2 years worth of development to find that one little change fixed everything. And then we were off with a working product. Pretty close to the end of the brief here. The main focus of my discussion was to discuss the challenges to innovation, how closely working with the resource provider and the resource sponsors play a huge role in success, because they're going to recognize what the challenges are in the future and what the actual warfighter is seeing today. And then further, having the durability of the company to be able to stick it out for a period of what is now 7 years of long-term development over 4 product groups to get to where we are today. And if anybody's interested, we'll be right back there with many different variants from step 1 to step 28. This is the final version with a parabolic tip, quite a lot of venting technology. It's a very durable, very consistent product now. Are there any questions? Didn't figure. Thank you for the opportunity.